everybody, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Violet.
And I'm Ruby.
And today we're taking a look at Doodle Dungeon, a game in which you're going to draw a dungeon, then a hero is going to come through it, and you want that hero to die. Here are the monsters. Let's take a look. There's three parts to the game. In the first part, you're going to be drawing your dungeon. There's going to be a certain number of cards that are available, one plus a number of players in the game. And these cards are going to be face up. Now, each card has a special ability on it, which you're pretty much not going to worry about. I mean, it might consider, but in turn order, players are going to take one of these cards. They're going to keep the card. It's going to go in their personal deck to use this part later. But right now, you're looking at the bottom part of the card. These are things you're going to draw in your dungeon. So this gives me a wall formation, a diagonal wall formation of 3, and 2 traps. This gives me 2 orcs and 2 treasure chests, 3 check marks, a treasure chest, 2 traps, 3 goblins, 3 walls and a straight formation, and a trap. When you draw this stuff in your dungeon, you're going to be able to draw it any way that you want. So if I draw the 3 walls diagonal, I could draw them here, here, and here. Actually, I couldn't draw them there. I could draw them here, here, and here. Why is that? Because someone's going to be moving through the dungeon, and so walls can be put wherever you want, but you can't block off part of the dungeon or make it so that somebody can't move through horizontally or vertically from the entrance to the exit. I mean, I can move like this. You can move like this. But you got to put those walls there. For traps and monsters, you can put them anywhere as long as they're not directly adjacent to another trap or monster. And treasures you don't put anywhere on the board. You're just going to write your treasures secretly, the coordinates of treasures. So I might put a treasure at D4. Now you're supposed to put treasures where there's a monster. So you could put a treasure there and draw a monster later, or put a treasure where there already is a monster, or you could even put a treasure that's not where a monster is, but then that's worthless and you won't score points for it at the end of the game. So the first half, you're going to basically draw your map out. After everyone draws their map out, you're going to hand the sheet to the player next to you, and they're going to draw a pathway through here. So they're allowed to go through each square twice, so you can double back occasionally, but they're going from the entrance to the exit, and they're going to try to kill as many monsters as they possibly can, avoiding traps, and get out. So here's one dungeon. Here's another dungeon you can see as you move through the dungeon trying to get out. That's the second part. Then you give it back to the other person, where you will now take turns moving your adventurer on this path. I should also mention that as you are drawing parts to the dungeon, you also will get those check marks and you can make things better. You can make the value of your treasures better. Your traps will do more damage if you increase them here. You can make the 3 enemies, goblins, orcs, or dragons, stronger. You can make the number of cards in your hand. You'll increase that. And that's what matters for this last part of the game. Players have a little deck of cards that they have gotten from all the cards they drafted to draw their thing. And they're going to draw cards equal to their hand limit, which is 1, but you could make it go up to 4. And then on your turn, you're going to move the adventurer to the next thing, whether it's a monster or a trap, just following the line that was drawn by the other player. When you get there, you'll be able to play blue cards on yourself from your hand, or red cards, hero cards. You can put them in front of somebody else. They'll hurt that player. So, for example, I could put this in someone else. Says the next time the hero encounters a trap, they ignore the trap and continue their movement. I'll play this in someone else's dungeon to help their hero out. While in my own dungeon, this one says roll 2 additional dice in a fight. So I might want to do that. Fighting. If you land on a trap, if your hero lands in a trap, that hero takes damage. At the bottom of this map, you're going to keep track of the hero's damage. You would like to kill that hero if possible. If they take 20 damage, they're dead. It's extra points for you at the end of a round. And each trap will only go off once. If they land on a monster, that monster will possibly do damage to them. And so a goblin can do 1 damage, an orc can do 2 damage, and a dragon can do 3 damage. But the strength of each of them is going to depend on how many check marks you've filled in. When you fight a monster, you're going to roll 2 dice together for the monster. The monster needs a 20, which is going to be difficult, especially for goblins, because goblins are +0. A dragon is +4, but that's still not enough here. However, you can make the dragon go all the way up to +12, which still wouldn't be enough here. You actually can make them all go up to +12 if you get enough check marks. If there's a 14, for example, so if I have 14 and my orc here is +6, great. The orc is defeated, but the orc is not defeated. The hero moves on, and the orc does 2 damage to the hero. Otherwise, the orc, or whatever the monster is defeated. Once everyone is out of the dungeon, or everyone has died, everyone's going to take turns moving around through that, you're going to score points here. Each treasure that has a living monster on top of them is going to score points equal to whatever value you made your treasure in. Then you're going to score points for each monster that survived. You score 5 points if you manage to kill the hero, and you lose a point for each point of life that the hero still has left. And then you add together the points. Most points is the winner. There's a lot going on in this game. The rules are, kind of lengthy here. 16 pages here. Although part of the rules are, how to draw. So it shows you how to draw each of the different things, how to decorate them, and so on and so forth. And it even gives you these little stencils that I used. You can see here, this is my daughter not using stencils. This is me using stencils. Hers looks better than mine. Go figure. The artwork, John Kovalik from Dork Tower did the art on this. And you can see that art on the different things. It's very much his style there. Dragon's Breath, +5 for a dragon. They also have a sheet here that shows you all the different cards that are possible in the game, and the Doodle, the dungeon building laws. It's a pretty big box, but it comes with pencils. It comes with a pencil sharpener. Not many games like this come with that, and an eraser. So all that, and then a score pad. There's quite a bit of components in here for a roll and write game, and I think they're pretty good. All right, Doodle Dungeon. So you're playing through this game, and you're going through, and so the game is in different parts. The first part is the drawing part. The second part is draw a path. The third part is move the hero through and roll dice. All right, so which one of those 3 parts did you like the best?
I guess I like the adventuring part a little bit more. The drawing part was fun, but I feel like it was just a bit annoying that I constantly draw the same thing over and over again. And then after a while,
really?
I just gave up and drew some random thing that looked like what it's supposed to.
So you got tired of drawing orc after orc after orc after orc.
Yeah,
or maybe
there's too
draw.
many.
I mean, I didn't really mind the drawing part. I just hated to think this goes here, but that might affect something later.
Oh, sure. You have to think really carefully, because if you draw too easy of a dungeon, the person would everything's dead. The drawing part is a big deal. They give you those stencils. I use the stencils, which made my stuff look amazing.
It looked horrible.
Okay.
They were the worst out of the 3 of us.
That's not the point. All right. Here's the thing, though. The second part is drawing the path through it. And this is where I have a small problem with the game, in that I feel like that's a big part of the game. And if we're playing a 3-player game and I draw a path poorly through Ruby's, I could make Ruby win the game by drawing a bad path. And that has nothing to do with Violet. So drawing that path's a pretty important thing. You want to try to kill as much stuff as you possibly can. But then the third part is fighting stuff. Now, there is luck in that, rolling the dice, right?
Yes, a lot.
But you get to play those cards. So let me ask you this. When at the beginning of the game, when we take those cards, do you think about what's on them for drawing? Or did you think about, ooh, that's a good card to use in the third part?
Definitely drawing at first, because I don't know what I'm supposed to expect from what you guys are going to do before the drawing.
Sure.
So I just
I usually think about the drawing too. I don't really pay attention to the card much at all, because most of them are actually pretty good. It's not like it's that hard to pick a card.
If you did pay attention, it'd take even longer for you to choose your card.
The cards are fairly simple to understand, and, well, you would use them in almost any scenario.
I agree with Violet, though. I always pick the card based on the drawing part, because if you sit there and think about the drawing part and the card that will be used at the end of the game, it would take a really long time.
Yeah. Not to mention, you have to think, what is the other players going to do with their map? What would help me benefit to it?
So let me ask you this, Ruby, because Violet, you played 3-player with us, and then we played a 2-player game. What did you like better, the 3-player or the 2-player?
Probably 3-player. Actually, I just think the more the merrier, I guess.
Just you also had more
fun.
options for cards.
Sure. Well, if you go first, that way anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think about the leveling up system? The X's and checking them off. Do you think one of them's better than the other? Making monsters more powerful, making your treasure or traps better, having more cards in your hand?
I didn't really care too much about the cards in the hand. Most of the time, I forgot about them in the first place.
I guess I would think like the monsters and the treasures would be pretty important, but getting treasures, I guess, would be more important than getting your monsters like way overpowered. If they're overpowered, there's really no point to like.
Sure, but you gotta be careful. You might make your dragons really powerful and then never draw any cards that let you draw dragons. Yes. But I mean, you can make some things happen for sure. You can put one monster and or trap at the beginning and exit. After that, you have to make the walls in such a way to force people to go through them.
Yeah, like you did that in the second game really well.
Either traps or monsters.
Lots and lots of monsters and very few walls.
She's not taking into account that if I was the one receiving her map, she would be completely useless because I could
even if there were traps, my traps are very weak. You focus on leveling the traps up. I think about the monsters, traps. And Violet hated my monsters.
Okay, so let me ask you this: thoughts on the game, Ruby? What do you think?
I actually really like this one. I would definitely play this again if somebody offered it to me. I might force someone to play it with me.
It's a trap! All right, what's your rating?
Probably maybe a 7.5.
Okay. What about you?
I thought the game was okay. The constantly drawing was a bit annoying, especially if you can't draw well, then people are just going to continuously ask you, what is this?
Who are you talking about? That seems awfully rude. All right, but what would you rate it?
I guess I give it maybe a 6.5. It was fine.
All right, well, hey, guess what? I'm halfway in the middle. 7 for me. I liked it. I agree with Violet. There's more drawing than I would like. After a while, I was like, oh, I'm so tired of drawing these walls, or whatever it was. The traps, at least, were like, all my traps look like crowns. The drawing the line through felt stressful that you didn't want to mess it up, but the actual game feels like as you move stuff through, then you roll dice, and that part was good.
Yeah.
It definitely feels different than most other games in this thing. Actually, tomorrow we'll be taking a look at another dungeon roll and write game called Paper Dungeons, but it's very different than this one. But this one I think works well with families. Certainly one to check out. And if you like the actual drawing the monsters, well then good luck because you get to do that
a lot.
Well, that's Doodle Dungeons. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Violet.
And I'm Ruby.
Have fun drawing dragons.